Hi everyone, I'm Ivan Bayuki and welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Joining us back on the channel is our good friend Andy Schectman, the CEO of Miles Franklin. Thanks for joining us, Andy.
It's so good to be back, guys. It's great to see you again, both of you.
So, Andy, let me put this up on the screen. There's been this huge story that's been floating around on YouTube, and now it's even made it to Zero Hedge, that some Texas billionaire stepped up to the plate and bought $50 million worth of silver, and it got sourced through Miles Franklin. And funny enough, I think you work there.
I do indeed.
I guess this was on Chris Marcus's channel that you guys revealed this. What are you allowed to share about this? I guess the big questions we've had that I've seen on Reddit and Twitter are, how much are you allowed to reveal about the nature of this order? And how are you sourcing that much? A lot of people thought that would be incredibly difficult if it was all in American Silver Eagles, because there's such a supply shortage in that. The premiums are so crazy in that specific product. What can you share?
All right. Well, first of all, it was a $50 million order, of which half was in silver and half was in gold. And, Bill Holter, who you guys have had on your show before, is an outside representative of Miles Franklin and a dear friend of mine. And he called me up. And by the way, the client really wants me to talk about this. Ironically enough, Bill said to me, listen, feel free to talk about it. She wants the world to know that big money is entering the marketplace. And he called me up on a Friday. He said, Andy, I got a $50 million order coming. And, I've been doing this for 33 years, you guys, and I've heard things like that a million times. I'm like, okay, sure, great. Okay, Billy.
Let me know when the wire hit. Let me know when the wire's transferred. Right?
Yeah, right. So Monday comes along and he says, she tried to go to the bank today, but she has to go to the main branch and she has to go like 40 miles into the other state. And okay, Billy, sure. Tuesday comes along.
Are you like doubting it at this point?
Yes, I'm totally doubting it, because I've heard this stuff before a million times and they never happen.
Even from Bill Holter, you've heard this before?
Even from Bill, and I will say that Bill was very convinced, and I started to feel a little bit, well, maybe this is Bill, I
Got
guess.
a little hope.
Because when you hear things like this, more often than not, they're make-believe. We did $600 million in sales last year. We've done $7 billion in sales. And the biggest order I personally have ever done at one time is $9 million. So I'm thinking, probably not going to happen. Anyways, late that evening, Monday night, the bank calls my office. A bank calls and asks a couple of questions, one of which is, are you sure you can even handle an order this big, which was weird. And then I wanted to validate the wire instructions. Now I'm starting to get a little bit, wow, this may actually happen. Tuesday comes along. Now keep in mind, I have never spoken to the client, and Bill relies on me and my staff to do all of the work in terms of any type of backroom work or sending wire instructions or communicating with the client on that level would come from my staff. Mm-hmm. Tuesday morning comes along, we receive a wire for $50 million. Now, I never even sent an email, never sent an invoice, nothing. I called Bill, I said, I'll be damned, man, we got a wire for $50 million. Now, I know you've had Bill on your show before, he's Jim Sinclair's partner, and without going into the reason they believe this, Jim and Bill believe the only thing to own are American-made products. She wanted to do half in silver and half in gold. And she only wanted as many Silver Eagles as I could get her, and the balance in pre-1965 junk silver or Peace and Morgan circulated dollars. We had 90,000 Silver Eagles in stock. We're one of only 27 U.S. Mint authorized resellers. We always stock an awful lot of Silver Eagles. Between 2022s and backdates, we had about 92,000 coins in stock. For 2 days, 20 hours straight, I sat at this desk, did not get up. I called every single source that I knew, that I have known over the last 30 years in the wholesale business, and cleaned them out. Took out all of their allocations into August. Wow. She bought over 900,000 American Silver Eagles, and do the math at $12 plus premium. on that. She didn't care. She didn't care that the premiums were that high. She didn't care that she could have gotten Britannias or Kangaroos or Philharmonics for half the price, premium wise. Didn't care. She put the rest into Silver Eagles and to junk silver, and $25 million into pre-1933 US gold coins. No bullion, none.
Wow.
Why pre-1933 gold coins? Is that something to do with the confiscation and those coins have some meaning to people?
You know, if I had my druthers, you guys, if price wasn't an issue, I'd only own pre-33 gold if price wasn't an issue. Now, I normally don't talk about pre-33 gold because price is an issue and the premiums are high. And I believe in the end, it's about number of ounces that matter. This woman told us this was more or less a test order, one of several to come. And far be it for me to doubt anything that is being said about this order at this point, because I was shocked to see that this was the case. I sourced some of it from a gentleman I've known who's been in the industry for 50 years. He said he's never seen an order this big ever. My banker, who runs all my whole business account in Minnesota, Old National Bank, called me and said, never seen a wire this big in my life. She was held hostage more or less for hours in a back room of the bank as they tried to talk her out of it. 3 days they held her money for, really, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. She had to threaten with legal action, pulled the rest of the money out of her account, $10 million more, and sent it to her Merrill Lynch account. And supposedly this is the first of at least 6 transactions of the same size between now and the next 6 months. I will tell you this, you know, you mentioned something off air to me about cleaning out inventory. If she would have told me that she did not care what she received, she would have wiped out my entire inventory like that. All of it would have been gone. And fortunately, she only wanted American-made products. And fortunately, after 3 decades of being in this industry, I know everybody on the wholesale side of the table and have made a lot of good friends. And it's funny, every single one that I called and said, I'll take them all, I'll take your allocations into August, I do not care, all of them. They all said the same thing to me. You got the money, man? You got the money? I said, yeah, I got a wire. And God is my witness. I've never seen anything like it, ever. And like I said, this is the beginning. I think people are waking up, and if this is the truth, you get people of this magnitude putting money into the industry, it will blow out the inventory of every company in this country in a matter of days if you saw that kind of transition.
Is this already showing up in premiums then from everyone who you cleaned out? Because I would think
Yes.
that now premiums would now be higher because everyone got cleaned out for like July and August.
Our premiums have risen. Yes, they have. And I think you'll see a continuing rising of premiums, especially as it pertains to the model of inefficiency that is the US Mint. Right around the same time we did this order, the Mint called us and said, oh, by the way, we are curtailing production of all gold eagles into the second half of 2022. Since then, which was, well, this was about a week before I did the order when they told me that premiums on gold eagles are up $60 a coin from every dealer in the country. Go look at what APMEX and JM Bullion are selling 1 ounce gold eagles for. It'll blow you away how much the premiums have gone up. The Mint is not making it easy for people in this country to transition into physical precious metals.
So the Mint's reducing what they're actually producing in
Yes.
silver and gold eagles.
Yes.
And they actually canceled a couple of months ago. They canceled some of the other,
The Morgans,
minor,
Peace.
the Peace dollar, the Morgan. They canceled some of their other products so that they had enough silver blanks to produce the American Silver Eagles. Now, are they still having these blank problems? Is that why they're reducing production?
You know, God only knows, you guys. I mean, it's the one part of the federal government that is profitable, and arguably in the highly inflationary environment, in this volatile, risky environment, you know, this is what people should be accumulating and shedding a little bit of exposure to traditional assets, and they're not making it easy. Yeah, you can say it's that they don't have the blanks. That's what a lot of people say. I believe it. All I know is that, you know, I'm more or less telling people to buy everything but US Mint products. And I am a US Mint authorized reseller. The US Mint means an awful lot to me. And if I had my druthers in buying bullion, it would only be silver eagles and gold eagles and buffaloes. And Unfortunately, they're just making it very difficult, and they're not very transparent as to why.
Are any of the other mints like Canada or the UK or Austria or South Africa, are they having any reductions in production?
No. I mean, Canada often is a little bit shaky because when the U.S. mint slows down, the first place to go to would be the Canadian mint. But in reality, they've all been far better in production, and the UK mint, the Austrian mint, the Perth mint, and even the South African mint have all stepped up to the plate. We haven't had issues whatsoever getting product from those mints. The premiums are higher. Premiums right now are on all of those coins are over double what they've been my entire career, but they're still down from where they were 6 months ago. They came down a little bit as May and June were very slow. And with the 4-month drawdown in silver, which I'd love to talk about if we have time, I think what it did was, look, a lot of the people that came on through you folks came on because they were sensing something new and exciting. And I think you have to be around this market long enough to understand that you don't buy physical silver with the sole intention of profitability. Yes, you don't want to buy something that goes down, but if you bought silver, over the last year or so with the intention of making a profit, instead of looking at it as insurance, instead of looking at it as wealth, instead of looking at it as a hedge to everything else that you got going on, money that you hope you never need to use, and if you do, you're damn glad you have it. If you're looking at it simply to make a profit, you're bummed out. And you have to understand that this has been a manipulated market for a long time. And I think that manipulation arguably might be coming to an end. Anyways, as the price had drawn down since March, by the time we hit May and June, there was a lull in the industry and premiums have shrunk a bit. I think they're going to start to head right back up. And so it's kind of been a sweet spot. And that's why I've been recommending to my clients that they buy kilo and 10 ounce and 100 ounce silver bars, where the premiums haven't gone off the charts the way they have with the sovereign issued coins.
So the excuse that the US Mint has been using is not enough blanks, but aren't the exact same blanks used in Canada, or is it a different blank that gets used in other countries? I mean, a blank's just basically maybe different sizes or something, different specs based on the different coins, but at the end of the day, a blank's a blank, right?
Yeah, and the Sunshine Mint provides a lot of the blanks for a lot of the sovereign mints, and I'm not sure exactly which ones, but several of the mints, including the US Mint, get their blanks from the same source, and that's the Sunshine Mint and Refinery. And to me, it's a hollow excuse because, this is what happens when governments enter the free market, so to speak, in that if it's a free enterprise, if it's a capitalistic, if it's a business looking to increase their output, well, they find a way to get the blanks. Now, a lot of people will say that they're not allowed to pay. I don't know this to be 100% true. Let me put it that way. But I believe that there is a law that says that the Secretary of the Treasury has to sign off on the mint's ability to pay an extended premium in the open market to get these blanks, that they're only allowed to pay a certain amount over the average worldwide spot price. And so, I guess they can hide behind all of these things, but all I can simply say to you is that I haven't had these problems with other mints, and I find it curious and a little bit disappointing that the US Mint has been so inefficient. So whether it's intentional, whether they're trying to, just like they're lying to us about the CPI numbers and lying to us about inflation, and the Fed's lying to us about a lot of things, maybe they're trying to limit the way that people have ease to obtaining American-made products to, lessen the exodus or the speed of the exodus out of the US dollar. And, or maybe it really is they're out of blanks. All I can tell you is that it's making it very difficult for me to recommend American-made products when you can buy something of the exact same purity or even more pure that's every bit as recognized, that trades at a fraction. And when you look at the Silver Eagles, they used to be 50 to 75 cents more than the Britannia, the Maple, the Kangaroo, the Krugerrand, and the Philharmonic. Now they're $7 more. And that's just way out of whack.
Yeah, you can't really justify that. I mean,
think about her justification, Jimmy. She bought 900,000 at over $12. You care. Do the math. Look at the
premiums are through the roof.
And, you know, that premium on the retail side is a tiny, tiny bit of that 12 bucks. So this is not the retailers getting wealthy. This comes from the primary distributors who are jacking up the premiums because they don't know when they're getting their next allocation from the US Mint. And I don't blame them. You know, these are companies that have contracts and deals with all the companies like myself, and they're constantly supplying product. And if you're dealing with a very inefficient, intermittent supply source, I don't blame them, because look, you can see they're just making it very difficult for everyone to get it. And so if you're limited in supply and the demand is off the charts and you don't know you're going to get your next allocation, raise the premiums.
So Andy, a lot of people on Reddit and Twitter, they're, you know, they're saying, oh, silver's dead. It's, you know, below 19. It's going lower. It's, you know, industrial metal only. There's no reason to be buying it. You know, what's going on with this? You know, why, do you have any sort of insight into why prices just don't seem to be responding as we would expect in this environment?
Yeah, and I do, and I find it very interesting. You know, I've been reading Ted Butler for a long time, and sometimes when you read info on the COMEX market, it's more of the same. It's monotonous, and you just wonder, does it even matter? But I'd like to raise a couple of points about things that he said recently that I find truly fascinating, and I think you and your listeners will as well. So you guys remember in March when we had the nickel failure on the London Metals Exchange? This is a 140-year-old market that basically bailed out the short that would have blown up otherwise. And you know, when these markets are designed where if a trade blows up and the broker and the customer can't make good on it, it's the members of the exchange that are supposed to make good on it to keep the integrity of a 140-year-old exchange. And instead, they blew it up. They canceled all the trades and they more or less defaulted on nickel. The day this happened represented the all-time high in gold. On March 8th, it was at its all-time high. And silver was the highest point it had been since roughly June of 2021. And so when the market collapsed like this, Ted thinks, and I agree, that they received a wake-up call to get their house in order because the size of the gold and silver short positions dwarfs the nickel position. So if you look at the largest commercial shorts over the last 4 months on COMEX, they have bought back more of their short positions over the last 4 months than at any time in history. And as a result, now effectively hold the lowest commercial concentrated short position ever in the history of the COMEX market. Let me say that one more time. The lowest commercial concentrated short position ever in the history of the COMEX market. And it's also the case with COMEX copper and NYMEX platinum futures. The total net commercial buying over the past 4 months on what is a sharp and highly deliberate sell-off orchestrated by the commercials has been astounding. Now there's a chart. And for your listeners, I would ask you to go Google the Office of Comptroller Currency, OCC chart showing the derivatives in the first quarter of 2022. It's incredible. It's a chart that's 12 years long, and every single year there's this much in the way of derivatives. First quarter 2022 goes like this. It's up off the charts. They pushed the ball down the hill so hard, January, February, March, right at the end of the first quarter, they jammed the ball down the hill right at the time gold and silver are flying in the middle of a war and in 40-year inflation, and they jammed the ball down the hill as hard as they've done in over a decade. And what happened was the managed money capitulated. So over the past 4 months, the commercial banks have bought back 60,000 silver contracts over 300 million ounces. What I am simply saying to you is this: what the commercial banks have been famous for doing is shorting a rising market. You can't do that. Think of AMC and GameStop. You short the falling market. Unless you're a commercial bank with unlimited money, you sucker the managed money in, they go up, and then they short the rising prices and they cap it and it drops, right? And then they rinse, wash, and repeat. This time, maybe they don't do that.
Well, Andy, thanks for joining us. It was really, we love having you on and getting the physical market information from you on what's going on the ground. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure's mine, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Ivan, I appreciate being here.
Thank you, Andy.